Your Subaru is shaking at idle. You pull up to a red light, put it in drive, and the whole car vibrates. The steering wheel shakes. The seat trembles. It feels like the engine is going to fall out. But when you're driving, it's fine. Smooth as butter. Only at idle does it shake like a paint mixer. So you take it to the mechanic. They tell you it could be bad motor mounts, or misfiring spark plugs, or carbon buildup, maybe injectors. They start throwing out big numbers. $600, $800, sometimes over $1,000. And you're sitting there thinking, it just shakes at idle. How can this be so expensive? Here's the truth they're not telling you. There's a 90% chance your problem is a dirty sensor that you can clean yourself in 15 minutes for the cost of a can of cleaner. I'm dead serious. This one sensor gets dirty. When it gets dirty, your engine computer gets confused. When the computer gets confused, your idle gets haywire. The engine shakes, vibrates, and runs rough. But nobody talks about this sensor. Mechanics don't mention it because cleaning it makes them $0. Replacing parts makes them money. Today, I'm exposing exactly which sensor causes this problem, why it happens, how to clean it yourself, and how to prevent it from happening again. Whether you drive a Forester, Outback, WRX, Crosstrek, Impreza, or any other Subaru, if your car shakes at idle, this is probably your problem. Let's get into it. The sensor that's causing your idle shake. The sensor that causes 90% of rough idle problems in Subarus is the mass airflow sensor, or MAF sensor. If you've never heard of it, you're not alone. Most Subaru owners have no idea this sensor exists until it causes problems. Here's what it does. The MAF sensor sits in your intake tube between the air filter and the throttle body. It measures exactly how much air is flowing into your engine. Your engine computer uses this information to calculate how much fuel to inject. The ratio has to be precise. Too much air and not enough fuel, you run lean. Too much fuel and not enough air, you run rich. When the MAF sensor is clean, it reads airflow accurately. The computer calculates the perfect fuel mixture. Your engine runs smooth. When the MAF sensor gets dirty, it reads airflow incorrectly. The computer miscalculates the fuel mixture. Your engine runs lean or rich. The result? Rough idle, shaking, vibration, and all kinds of drivability problems. Here's why this happens. Air coming into your engine carries microscopic particles of dirt, dust, and oil. Even with an air filter, tiny particles still get through. Over time, these particles accumulate on the delicate sensing element inside the MAF sensor. This buildup creates a film that interferes with the sensor's ability to accurately measure airflow. The sensor starts sending incorrect data to the computer. And here's the kicker. The computer trusts the MAF sensor completely. It doesn't question the data. It just adjusts fuel delivery based on what the MAF tells it, even if the MAF is lying. Why your Subaru shakes, specifically at idle. You might be wondering, if the MAF sensor is dirty, why does the car only shake at idle? Why does it run fine when you're driving? Great question. Here's the answer. At idle, your engine is running at its lowest RPM, usually around 600 to 800 RPM. At this low speed, the airflow through the MAF sensor is minimal. Any error in the MAF reading has a massive impact on the air-fuel ratio. Think of it like this. If the MAF sensor is off by 10% and you're only flowing a small amount of air at idle, that 10% error represents a huge percentage of the total airflow. Your idle mixture gets way off. But when you're driving and pressing the gas, you're flowing a lot more air. That same 10% error is a much smaller percentage of the total airflow. The computer can compensate better, and the engine runs more smoothly. That's why you only notice the problem at idle. The dirty MAF sensor affects all engine speeds, but it's most noticeable when airflow is lowest. Here are the symptoms you'll experience. Rough, shaky idle. That vibrates the whole car. Engine RPM. Fluctuating at idle. Going up and down by 100 to 200 RPM. Engine. feeling like it wants to stall when you come to a stop. Check engine light with codes P0171 too lean or P0174 too lean. Bank 2. Poor acceleration or hesitation. When you first press the gas, reduce fuel economy. Sometimes the engine will run fine for the first few minutes after a cold start, then start shaking once it warms up. This is because the computer uses different fuel maps when cold versus warm. If any of this sounds familiar, your MAF sensor is almost certainly dirty. How to clean your MAF sensor the right way. Here's the good news. Cleaning your MAF sensor is incredibly easy. You don't need special tools. You don't need mechanical knowledge. You just need 15 minutes and a $12 can of MAF sensor cleaner. Here's the step-by-step process. Step 1. Get the right cleaner. Go to any auto parts store and buy a can of MAF sensor cleaner. Not brake cleaner, not contact cleaner. MAF sensor cleaner specifically. The MAF sensor has a very delicate wire or film element. Other cleaners can damage it or leave residue. MAF sensor cleaner is specially formulated to evaporate completely without leaving anything behind. Brands like CRC, Gamout, or Johnson's all make good MAF cleaners. Expect to pay $10 to $15 for a can. Step 2. Locate your MAF sensor. Pop your hood. Look at your intake system, the tube that connects your air filter box to your engine. The MAF sensor is usually located in the intake tube between the air filter and the throttle body. It's a plastic or metal housing about the size of a soda can with an electrical connector plugged into it. On most Subarus, it's pretty easy to spot. Follow the intake tube from the air filter box toward the engine. You'll see it. Step 3. Remove the MAF sensor. Unplug the electrical connector. There's usually a tab you press to release it. Just pull it straight out. The MAF sensor is held in place by 2 or 3 screws, usually Torx or Phillips head. Remove these screws. Gently pull the MAF sensor out of the intake tube. Step 4. Clean the sensor element. Now you'll see the sensor element. It's usually a small wire or thin film inside the housing. Do not touch it with your fingers, tools, or anything else. It's extremely delicate. Hold the MAF sensor over a towel or garbage bag. Spray the sensor element with MAF cleaner. Use generous amounts. You want to saturate the element completely. Spray from different angles to make sure you hit all sides of the element. Let the cleaner evaporate completely. This usually takes 10 to 15 minutes. Do not blow on it. Do not wipe it. Just let it air dry naturally. Step 5. Reinstall the sensor. Once it's completely dry, reinstall the MAF sensor in the reverse order. Screw it back into the intake tube. Plug in the electrical connector. Make sure everything is tight and secure. Step 6. Reset the computer. This step is optional but recommended. Your engine computer has been compensating for the dirty MAF sensor. Now that the sensor is clean, you want to clear those old learned values. The easiest way is to disconnect your battery's negative terminal for 15 minutes, then reconnect it. This resets all the computer's learned parameters. If you don't want to disconnect the battery, you can also use an OBD2 scanner to clear the codes and reset the adaptive fuel trims. Step 7. Test drive. Start your car and let it idle for 5 minutes. The computer needs to relearn the idle settings with the clean MAF sensor. Then take it for a 10-minute drive. Include some highway driving, some city driving, and some sitting at red lights. The rough idle should be gone. Your Subaru should now idle smoothly. What if cleaning doesn't fix it? Okay, so you clean the MAF sensor and your Subaru still shakes at idle. What now? First, make sure you clean it thoroughly. Sometimes one cleaning isn't enough if the sensor was really dirty. Try cleaning it a second time. If it still doesn't help, there are a few other possibilities. Possibility 1. The MAF sensor is actually damaged. If the MAF sensor has been dirty for a very long time, or if someone previously tried to clean it with the wrong cleaner, the sensing element might be permanently damaged. In this case, you'll need to replace it. A new MAF sensor for most Subarus costs $150 to $300. Installation is easy. It's the same process as removal. Possibility 2. Vacuum leak. A vacuum leak allows unmetered air into the engine. which throws off the air-fuel ratio just like a dirty MIF sensor. Common sources of vacuum leaks on Subarus include intake manifold gaskets, PCV valve and hoses, brake booster vacuum line EVAP system hoses. To check for vacuum leaks, start the engine and listen for a hissing sound. You can also spray carburetor cleaner around suspect areas while the engine is running. If the idle changes when you spray a certain area, you found your leak. Possibility 3. Throttle body needs cleaning. The throttle body is right next to the MAF sensor. It's the valve that controls how much air enters your engine. Over time, carbon and oil vapors build up on the throttle plate and bore. This buildup can cause rough idle and stalling. Cleaning the throttle body is similar to cleaning the MAF sensor. Remove it, spray it with throttle body cleaner, wipe away the carbon, and reinstall. Possibility 4. Spark plugs or ignition coils. If you have a misfire, your engine will shake at idle. Misfires are usually caused by bad spark plugs or failing ignition coils. Subaru recommends replacing spark every 60,000 to 100,000 miles depending on your engine. If yours are old or you don't know when they were last changed, replace them. Ignition coils can also fail over time. They're more expensive to replace, about $80 to $150 each. But if one is failing, it will cause a rough idle. Possibility 5. Engine mounts. Engine mounts are rubber and metal assemblies that hold your engine in place while absorbing vibration. Over time, the rubber deteriorates. When engine mounts fail, you feel more vibration in the cabin, especially at idle. To check your engine mounts, have someone start the car and put it in drive with the brake on. Watch the engine from outside. If it moves excessively or tilts to one side, you've got bad mounts. Replacing engine mounts is more involved and usually costs $400 to $800 depending on which mounts need replacing. How to prevent MAF sensor problems. The best way to deal with a dirty MAF sensor is to prevent it from getting dirty in the first place. Here are the key prevention strategies. Use a quality air filter. Your air filter is the first line of defense. A good filter catches dirt before it reaches the MAF sensor. Use quality filters from reputable brands like Subaru OEM K&N or Fram. Don't buy the cheapest filter at the dollar store. Replace your air filter regularly. The manual says 30,000 miles, but if you drive in dusty conditions, change it every 15,000 miles. Avoid oiled air filters. Some performance air filters like K&N use oil to trap dirt particles. The problem is, sometimes excess oil gets pulled off the filter and contaminates the MAF sensor. If you use an oiled filter, make sure you don't over-oil it when you clean and re-oil it. For daily driving, a standard dry paper filter is actually better for MAF sensor longevity. Check for intake leaks. If there's a crack or loose connection in your intake system between the air filter and the MAF sensor, unfiltered air can enter. This dirty air goes straight onto the MAF sensor. Periodically inspect all the intake hoses and connections. Make sure everything is tight and crack-free. Clean the MAF sensor preventively. Don't wait until you have problems. Clean your MAF sensor every 30,000 to 50,000 miles as preventive maintenance. This takes 15 minutes and costs $12. It's cheap insurance against idle problems. The bottom line. If your Subaru shakes at idle, there's a 90% chance it's a dirty MAF sensor. This is one of the most common problems on Subarus, and also one of the easiest and cheapest to fix. A $12 can of MAF sensor cleaner and 15 minutes of your time will solve it. No mechanic needed, no expensive parts, just a simple cleaning. Shops don't tell you this because cleaning a sensor makes them zero profit. Replacing spark plugs, ignition coils, cleaning fuel injectors, those are billable repairs. But now you know the truth. Try cleaning the MAF sensor first. Before you spend hundreds on diagnostics. Before you replace parts you don't need. 9 times out of 10, that dirty sensor is your problem. Clean it, and your smooth idle returns. And once you've fixed it, clean it preventively every 30,000 miles. You'll never have this problem again. If you found this video helpful, be sure to watch this next video as we're sharing insider tips to help you cut repair costs and keep your car running like new.